Yu Yu Hakusho is one of my favorite anime of all time. The story of a boy named Yusuke Urameshi who dies in the very first episode, but then is allowed to come back to life as a spirit detective, able to harness his spiritual energy and fight against various demons and apparitions in epic battles that span the entire series. The Yu Yu Hakusho manga was 19 volumes long, and the anime managed to pretty much adapt all of it in a consistent and concise anime that doesn't have any filler or made-up arcs, which is pretty astounding, especially for the time period. The pacing is fantastic, and at 112 episodes, there's enough content there to feel like a good journey, but not so many episodes that it feels overwhelming or impossible to watch. Some would say it's the perfect size. But for hardcore Yu Yu Hakusho fans, it still left us wanting more. There were 2 Yu Yu Hakusho movies released during the run of the anime that I discussed in a previous video. I'll link that down below. But after that, and when the series wrapped up in Japan in 1994, that was it. There was no new Yu Yu Hakusho content for multiple decades. Not until 2018. Literally 24 years after the anime completed. That is enough time for you to have been born, grow up, graduate, get a bar chick pregnant, and fall into a deep drunken despair. I mean, I hope that didn't happen to you, but that's how long it took. This was because it was to be included in a special 25th anniversary edition Blu-ray set for the Yu Yu Hakusho anime, something that, unfortunately, of course, only ever came out in Japan. But regardless, it prompted animators to come together and give us a short 2-episode OVA, and it's about time that I talked about it. The episodes are very short, they're about 15 minutes apiece, but any length of content after 20-some years feels like a blessing. The very first thing to notice about it is its animation style. Obviously, they are not going to be able to recapture the aesthetic of the 90s, and especially just for a short OVA, but watching it look like an updated modern anime really didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Maybe it was the fact that I was getting new Yu Yu Hakusho content that I was going to be stoked regardless, but I really do enjoy how it looks. It almost even has a little bit of a Hunter x Hunter vibe to it, which fits quite nicely since they're both creations of Togashi. The action sequences were smooth and well choreographed, and it was just nice seeing the gang back together again, no matter how short-lived it was. The first one is actually a backstory taking place about a year before the anime begins. This one focuses on Kurama and Hiei and shows how they originally met one another. Since the anime starts like this, and it's a younger version of Kurama, it starts out feeling kind of like a brand new anime, and it almost makes me want to watch a series with Kurama as the main character. I think he would be a really great MC, actually. Obviously, we know Kurama was once a legendary fox demon who took over the body of a soon-to-be-born child of a human in order to save his own life. But through growing up in the human world, he grew an affection and understanding for humans to the point where he wanted to stay within this world. But even so, he can't avoid the occasional confrontation with other apparitions that sense his demonic energy. It was really cool seeing him try to fit in being human and hide his demonic side. He would legitimately be a great main character. Hiei shows up looking for his sister Yukina, which keeps within the canon of the series, that being the reason why he came to human world to begin with, and he has a little confrontation with Kurama, thinking that he had something to do with taking Yukina. But then the two team up and take down the real demonic threat in town and the creature who may have kidnapped her. I thought it was great to see their first adventure together, and it was a lot of fun just watching these characters interact again. And yeah, since it takes place before the series, it kind of limits what they can do and talk about, and especially how powerful they are, but I thought it was handled pretty wonderfully regardless. The second episode of the OVA is actually an adaptation of the second to last chapter of the manga, chapter 174. One of the very few chapters that actually was not adapted in the original series. It's sort of meant to be like a last hurrah of the team completing a mission before the manga ends, and I can understand not adapting it originally because it really doesn't fit the flow of how the anime wraps up, and I honestly prefer that they didn't put it in. But for an OVA, it works perfectly. A terrorist organization in the spirit world is against the fact that the barrier of the demon world is now down, and they're holding hostages until they get their way. So Yusuke is asked to go in to stop them. Now, in canon, Yusuke is no longer a spirit detective at this point, but he agrees to help out with the assistance of his entire team, Kurama, Hiei, and my main man Kuwabara, as they all enter the spirit world together to face down the terrorists. Nothing too crazy happens here. I do love the bit where they need Kuwabara's dimension sword to enter the palace, and he still doesn't know how to conjure it at will until he starts thinking about his need to protect Yukina, and obviously he gets it up. Classic. The wildest part of this, though, is the ending that leaves on a cliffhanger of Yusuke needing to decide what button to press that could exterminate his entire city and more. Now, in the manga, there is one more chapter, which is basically the beach stuff that we get at the end of the anime, so it's not so much of a cliffhanger, but to abruptly end the OVA on that cliffhanger and making it feel like this canonically takes place after the anime ends, it feels very ominous. But overall, there's not a ton to say about this OVA, but man, regardless, it just felt really great seeing more Yu Yu Hakusho. That's where it begins and that's where it ends for me. Now, as of the recording of this video, this OVA has still not been dubbed or released by Funimation in America, who of course did the English dub for the original anime. Though back in 2019, Funimation announced that they would be doing the dub, and then nothing happened with it. It's been up in the air as a mystery since that time. Oddly enough, though, as I was writing this video and researching for it, I saw that just yesterday, I'm not making this up, yesterday, Cynthia Kranz, who is the voice actor for Botan, posted on her Facebook page that the OVA would be coming soon. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because this is not a post from Funimation or any of the directors or producers in charge, but it could be good news. Justin Cook, who voiced Yusuke and led the charge of the original anime, hasn't said anything, but I would like to believe that this is a good sign, but you never know. In the meantime, you can watch the OVA in its original Japanese. It is all on YouTube if you want to watch it, and I'm sure you can find it in other various places on the internet as well, at least before we get an official release. But if we do, then all that will be left is that one lone movie about the Netherworld. What the hell? Anyways, guys, if you have seen Yu Yu Hakusho, the OVA from 2018, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you think it was kind of meh? I don't know. Let me know what you think about it down below. Also, guys, thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content. Other than that, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.